I mean, I've already hit record, so we're good to go. But it's a real pleasure to have you here and to be able to talk about Turtle Box and just to say what goes on into building this beast of a speaker.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's unreal. I haven't yet gotten to go out on the boat with it yet, just because it is pouring rain today. And
Ah,
but the next job that I get, this thing will definitely be coming on the boat with me, 100%.
heck
So,
yeah, man. I didn't
John,
send you, did I send you straps? Did I send you any straps?
I didn't see any straps, but
I need to send you. I'll send you some straps.
okay.
The side of the box has a tie down feature on it.
Oh, awesome. Oh
Like
yeah.
you,
All right, like right in here, right?
yeah. So like
Very
any
cool.
toe strap or webbing would fit through there.
Okay.
But we've got bright orange ones with turtle box on the side of them, and
Right.
they're only about 3 feet long rather than 25 feet long.
Yeah. Unlike the CVS receipt you get, right? Yeah. I hear you.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, I need to get you some of those.
That'd be awesome. That'd be super cool. So, what is? I mean, I guess to start out, like John, how did you even get into building a speaker, right? And now, what is your background? Because it's kind of an interesting business to get into, right? You love the outdoors, you love
Yeah,
boating. We talked about your sailboat and how you bumped into the guy with Cito, and I work for Cito, so it's kind of a cool story. But we'll
yeah,
get into that later. But what was kind of the initial? Hey, I'm gonna start building the speaker.
yeah. It's a wild story, man. I mean, it makes me laugh every time I tell it. So I'm one of four co-founders of Turtlebox,
Hmm.
and the four of us are all best friends. We are all from Houston, and 7 years ago, we were living together in a bachelor pad type of place here in Houston,
Yep.
and we were just single and free, and one of my
The way it
partners,
ought to
Will.
be, right?
Yeah. I am married, which is also awesome. A different type of freedom.
Sure.
But so one of my partners, Will, he is just the type of guy that he's got to have music with him everywhere. And praise God for him because he helped us start this business. And so 7 years ago, we're living together, spending a lot of time on Buffalo Bayou, spent a lot of time on Galveston Bay sailing, like I
Sure.
told you, and had bought and broken everything that was on the market, which was not many things. And Will was just like, man, we have got to have a speaker that's a little louder than
Hmm.
and more rugged than what's out there. And so he dreams this thing up and kind of pitches it to me one day because I'm kind of I have a weird ability to make things. I'm kind of good at making stuff, and so
Sure.
he like, hey John, like, yeah, I got this idea for this speaker. Like, do you think you could help me piece it together? I'm like, sure, And I come home from work one day. I was working in the energy business at the time, and I come home and Will's hollering at me like, hey dude, come on upstairs. I got all this stuff for that speaker. And I go into Will's room, and his bed just has it had like 14 cardboard boxes all spread out over his bed. Like he had placed one big order for you know, all these different components that we were somehow going to take and shove into a box and make
Right.
this speaker. And so the four of us collectively kind of made this thing,
Hmm.
and none of us are engineers. And I always tell people, like, the four of us kind of make one engineer. It's kind of a
Sure.
funny
Everyone has
collective.
their own little piece that can, all come
Yeah.
together and then it works. I get you.
And so we make this thing. And I mean, that's really how it happened is it wasn't supposed to be a business. It was just a product for us. It was just a way for us to have music with us everywhere we went when we were, on the canoe or in the sailboat or going camping or, whatever we were doing.
Right.
Um, and that's kind of, I mean, it was not you know, of all the things that I've done in my life, it was not the most purposeful. It was accidental in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And what we created ended up being really, really cool and took it with us everywhere. And um, after about a year of toting it around and having people tell us they thought it was cool,
Right.
we're like, hey, let's,
Maybe we can sell these things.
let's start a business
Yeah.
together.
Sure.
And that was 7 years ago.
That's awesome. So now, did you grow up? I mean, because you grew up in Texas, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah. So was this kind of a reflection of, I the as many people I've talked to, right, just at either in life or in business, there's always this reflection of, their day to day lives, and then all of a sudden the business kind of fits into it. And you guys are like, a perfect example of that, right? Here you are going out, enjoying the outdoors, and then you create a product to kind of, help make that experience more fun. So I got to imagine that growing up, you were probably a very outdoorsy person, hiking, biking, just the whole bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's interesting how we come together as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not, you know, Jonathan McKenzie by himself is not the embodiment of Turtlebox.
Sure.
It's really the four of us collectively that completes who Turtlebox is, um, and so it's so cool to watch this product and this brand and this company like represent all four of us in a
Mm-hmm.
really unique way. And while I did grow up hunting and fishing and spending a lot of time outside, I am probably currently the world's worst fisherman.
Why do you say
And
that?
my father-in-law can attest to that. My father-in-law might be one of the world's greatest fishermen. He just lives in a small town in Georgia. The dude could just fish all day long.
Yep.
I don't have the patience. I'm like one of the world's most impatient people.
I hear you,
And
man.
and so when I was a kid, I never like sold out into fishing. I was like, Dad,
Yeah. Yeah.
we haven't got,
It's
it's been 15 minutes, Dad. Can we go do something else?
let's keep moving. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
can I can agree to that. Growing up, I've gone on my fair share of fishing trips, and I love fishing, but I'm probably not the best fisherman, and I have friends that are really good at fishing. So if I want to go fishing, I go with them. And
Exactly.
because you're going to catch something, right? I mean, in terms
Yeah.
of driving boats and getting stuff done, and just by the nature of what I do for work, I mean that it fits. So fishing is kind of like this secondary thing that I get to do, but maybe not the
Mhm.
best thing at. So how did you guys all meet? I mean, just it's interesting to see different partnerships, right? I mean, I've had people on
Yeah.
the show that are, they're a father son couple, all sorts of
Yeah.
partners, but to have four guys, that's a lot to juggle, right? And I'm sure
It
it
is.
comes with its challenges too, because one guy probably has the idea for the logo, and one other guy has a color scheme he wants to run with. But there's got to be some sort of happy medium. And how does that
Mhm.
all kind of fit for you guys?
Yeah. So to answer your first question, how do we all meet? So three of us, me, Will, and Reagan, we actually all went to the same high school.
Oh, no
And
way.
at different times, we went to the same high school. So I'm the youngest member of Turtlebox.
Yep.
Um, but um, but yeah, me, Will, and Reagan all went to the same high school, and we all had siblings at that high school, and so like Reagan had a younger sister that was close in age to me. I had an older sister that was close in age to Will, and so like it was a small high school, small private high school, and
Right.
so you kind of know everybody,
Yeah.
and that's honestly how I knew Reagan and Will. And then Jeff, who's technically from Dallas, but we tell people he's from Houston.
why
'Cause
why is that? Is there some sort of stigma with Dallas?
oh, well, he's been here like 15, 20
All
years, so
right.
he's basically from Houston now.
Yep.
Uh, but they were buddies with Jeff. I don't even know how they were buddies with Jeff, but we all started hanging out together, just kind of doing life. We all went to church together, and um, all of us were living separately,
Mm-hmm.
um, as kind of young professionals, and we're hanging out, drinking beer one night, and we're like, "Hey, man, we should all get a place together." And you're like, "Your lease is coming up soon, and you aren't you about to get a? Oh yeah, hey, why don't we all get a house together? Like
Yeah.
that'd be kind of fun, you know." And it was like magic. I mean, this little house that we had together was like the epitome of just good living. I mean, it
Right.
was just, people were drawn to it. It wasn't just about like, oh wow, these guys, know how to have a good time. It was like, man, we just loved on people, and
Yeah.
loved having people over, and loved, whether it was having a party or having a Bible study, or whatever we were doing. It was like we did it really really well, and tried to do what is still a big part of Turtlebox, which we just say live free all the time. Here's live free
Sure.
stickers.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Just living free. And that's kind of, we started this way of living together as young adults, where it's all too easy to not live freely, because you're in corporate America, and you're just grinding it out, and
Yep.
you're a young person trying to climb the corporate ladder, like trying to get married, trying to navigate so many things in your life, and
Right. The rat
it's
race.
easy to become kind of a slave to about a dozen different things.
Hmm.
And the four of us together kind of had this pact of like, you know, man, if we see one of us kind of acting non freely somewhere, like, hey, buddy, like,
Yeah. Reel them back in.
and so and what's cool is we kind of took that way of living as single people, took it into our marriages. Now we all have families and multiple kids, and this business together, and
Right.
living free is just kind of the daily, you know, people think too. It's like, oh, you own your own business, you must, like have ultimate freedom. I'm like, yeah,
Not
yeah, it's
quite.
really not like that.
Yeah.
And so it's there's just, every day of the week there's a way to be a slave to something,
Right.
and to kind of not ever pursue irresponsibility, but just freedom the way that it's supposed to be. So
Sure. And
that's
that
kind of how we met, and how we kind of took that into our business.
yeah, and that carries so well over into many aspects into Turtlebox and your brand, and it shows like from the creation of the product, like having the freedom to take music, which I'd like to get into the importance of what you think music is in the outdoors, because it's such a interesting thing to have, and some people might agree that having music out on a backpacking trip, and that might be very sacrilegious, but other people, on the other hand, it amplifies the experience. But that saying "live free," I think fits so well, and you guys have really portrayed that in the brand, from the durability, solely on the durability of the product, right? I mean, for those who are watching, right, this thing is unreal. I mean, it's built to. I mean, I feel like you could drop this thing off of a plane and it would probably survive. Probably not recommended, but it might
Please
survive.
don't,
You never
please don't
know.
do that. Please, yeah, not recommended. We'll
Right.
avoid the warranty. Uh,
But yeah, so
but yeah,
how does music, I mean, how does that fit in? Because it's a different business, right? You're combining people's passion for the outdoors, people's passion for music, and it
mhm,
fits so well, and with that comes conversation, and so many things
yeah.
come out of it.
That it's this really weird thing, and I have to approach our business with so much thanks so often, because so many things have happened in our business that we didn't mean to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And like I studied, I went to college to learn entrepreneurship.
Sure.
I was a major in entrepreneurship and finance, so I know money and numbers and business plans and all that stuff. And like almost none of that, this is not a good pitch for higher education. Like
Go to
almost
college.
none of that was like technically applied to this. It's
Yeah.
just been such a gift of the way things have happened, because you bring up a good point where we've created this product that it's a speaker, it plays music,
Sure.
but then join that with a love and passion for being outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's cool is, and we say this a lot, is we believe that Turtlebox at its core brings two things together that all people universally enjoy: being outside and listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
And then a third, which typically out of those two things happens, is spending time with other people.
Yep.
And so it's like, if you just go outside and turn on some music, 70 to 80% of the time, eventually there's going to be other people there with you.
Right.
And that's a beautiful thing. And that's not to say that there aren't times, like you say, sacrilege, like, man, just turn the music off, like, listen to the crickets and the wind, and,
Mm-hmm.
just enjoy the peacefulness of being outside. I'm all for that. That's a big
Of
part of what I
course.
try to get outside. But like I said, at the core of our business, we have this beautiful product that unites two loves: being outside, listening to music
Mm-hmm.
with other people in community. And I mean, I can't ask for a cooler company and product to run, because it's not just like, I'm not just selling somebody this thing. I'm selling somebody an experience.
Right.
And selling memories, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
selling, you know, dance parties with little kids. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's a funny thing to watch. We'll go into the little block of our neighborhood and put a couple turtle boxes out, and just all these little kids are running around,
Right.
hopping and dancing, and it's like, I mean, that just puts a smile on your face, man.
Super cool. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times I've been outside on the water, backpacking, fishing, and to have that little, before I got this beast of a speaker, I had a little, speaker, and it was tiny, and I clipped it onto my pack or something, and it really made those moments of, you know, just all that more better. Or even when you're at a campfire, right? And you
Mhm.
guys can all, relate to this one song. And, I don't know if you ever heard of Hiss Golden Messenger. You ever heard of that band?
Mm-mm.
No. So I like folk music, and
Yeah,
he's a big folk singer. If you haven't listened to him, you got to go check him out. My
I will. I will.
shout out to my friend Dave, who got me hooked on him. That and Sturgill Simpson.
Oh yeah, I know Sturgill Simpson. Yeah.
Oh, you know Sturgill Simpson?
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Did you listen to his new album coming out?
I haven't, but I
Yeah,
will.
solid, solid album. It's a all of his favorite, all of his hits that he just came out with.
Oh
He
really?
did a cover to all of his own songs, and now
Oh,
he's
that's
it's all bluegrass. So all of his songs that he was previously doing, he just put a bluegrass, theme to it, and made a
yeah.
whole album for it. So very cool. Sidetrack, but um, music does a lot of things, and to have that side of the company where you're literally bringing people together is a super cool position to be in. But
Hmm.
there's this other side of it where we could talk about the experience and the fun, and but there's this technical side too, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
you gotta go from in order to have that, you gotta be able to start with how the hell do we build a speaker that can get hit by a boat and thrown off a bridge and survive those really harsh environments. So
Yeah.
kind of give me the walkthrough as to where you started and where you ended up. I mean, you said it a little bit earlier on where your buddy was in what was his name?
Will.
Will. He was in his
Yeah.
in your bedroom,
Yeah.
cardboard boxes everywhere. Go from there.
Yeah.
Like, how did this all get built?
Yeah. So the general concept from the beginning was we want to take a rugged case,
Mm-hmm.
whether at the time it was like an off-branded Pelican case. It was we ended up building a bunch of prototypes out of Pelicans, but this was some off-branded, much less expensive version of a Pelican case.
Sure.
And uh, actually, can I walk out the door real quick?
Go for it. Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right. Not many people have seen this. This is this is numeral uno.
No.
This is the number one what we built from what
Super cool.
Will had in his bedroom that day. So it was this yellow case, a pile 6x9 marine like boat 6x9, and then we this thing is just filthy.
That thing is insane. I love it.
We put all these switches on it and inputs and lights and stuff. This one doesn't even have a charging port. We had to open the box in order to charge this one. It weighs like 20 pounds. And so, yeah, so but the general idea was rugged case, big speaker. Like we just, you know, behind the scenes, you talk technically, we are all, as much as we are outdoorsmen and adventurers, we're all audiophiles and
Sure.
love great and big sound. And, big sound comes from big speakers. So,
Right.
we put the biggest speaker we could in this box. And then on the inside, it was, okay, how are we going to amplify it? How are we going to power it? And so, in this particular one, there are two motorcycle batteries, a car amplifier, and
Jesus.
some other wiring. And I mean, to be honest with you, what is in this and what this represents is not too dissimilar from what's on your desk over there.
Right.
It's still a 6x9 in a rugged, hard case that is now our case. It's not somebody else's case. It's our speaker. It's not somebody else's speaker. The biggest technical improvements from this to what the turtle box is today is really in the battery. The battery technology over the last 7 years has just, you know, made exponential leaps. And
Right.
so actually going from this to the current turtle box, the biggest challenge was our power management.
Hmm.
In layman's terms, it takes power to make power.
Right.
And so if you want big sound, you need a lot of power. And that's why if your home stereo that's running on 110 volts, it can get really loud because it has unlimited amount of power.
Sure.
The problem that we always encountered is when we were really prototyping this hardcore and seeking mass manufacturing, we could not find a power management system to deliver the amount of power in an instant that we needed to amplify a turtle box. And so that's why we were using motorcycle batteries, is because motorcycle batteries have in any car audio, any car battery has this, is what's called a really high amp draw.
Mm-hmm.
So a high amp draw allows you to pull a lot of power at one time. And so it's the same thing as like you got a song cranked up and it's hitting, it's every time it does this, you're actually drawing more power in those moments. And so high amp draw is a big thing. Well, 7 or 8 years ago, lithium ion batteries had, just categorically, they had no amp draw because the only application for a lithium ion battery was your laptop or your cell phone.
Right.
And which requires very, very small amounts of power to be drawn from that battery over a very long period of time. Now with the movement toward electric vehicles and stuff, battery technology is obviously increasing exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the same batteries that are in a Tesla are in a turtle box.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Tesla has, umpteen, 100 cells, but the same individual cell it's like the most popular lithium ion cell right now. It's called 18650 cell. And it's a wonderful battery. And so that's part of the technical, stuff. Now there's a bunch of other things that we changed in the production version of Turtle Box, but
sure.
I will say that's probably the biggest improvement, because, the original Turtle Boxes, you could get like, an hour, maybe 2 hours of playtime at volume. And
what is it now?
So now, if you just crank that thing up and let it rip, it'll go 6 to 8 hours, depending on what type of music you're listening to. If you just kind of are chilling with it, it'll last days.
Wow.
It's a pretty impressive battery pack.
So this is something that you can, and then it has the pair feature as well. I mean, there's a lot of features that go into it. So, what's the reasoning behind them, right? Because
behind the pairing?
Well, just behind a lot of the features that you guys have. I mean, it's so well made. I mean, from the handle to the screw cap, right, to keep everything waterproof, because it is a waterproof speaker, and it's not something you see on the market. And I'm always someone being, a captain and always on the water. Everything, your day is only as good as your gear, right? Yeah, so if you're out there and, it, like today, luckily I'm not out there. My coworker Jason's out there. Yeah. And, he is, it really comes down to how warm you are, right? Your rain gear, what's on your feet, and, what's between your boot and your skin, like your sock. And, a great man once said that, it's really whatever's touching your skin or touching the road, there's no compromise. And that's something that, I try and adhere as best as I can, but it also comes down to the gear, right? So, what was the thought process behind, all right, we're going to start with a waterproof speaker, but what were kind of the pain points that you guys wanted to solve, right? Because obviously making it waterproof, so it had to be completely sealed, and then it had to sound good, but it also had to be Bluetooth, right? You wanted to have pairing mode, it had to be portable. So how did that all kind of come into fruition and birth what was a Turtle Box now?
Yeah. It was honestly a lot harder than it would seem to take all of those features and shove
Hmm.
them in a box and make them work together. And because there's a trade off in so many things that you can do when you're creating a product like this. And for us, like we tried to adhere to a particular, hierarchy of design,
Right.
and that was kind of our paradigm. And so for us, it was like, you know, honestly, the number one goal is it has to be loud. Like
Hmm.
that was kind of our number one thing. Is there's other things that are waterproof, there's other things that are Bluetooth, um, but we don't think any of those things are loud enough.
Right.
And so, if we're not loud, we're nothing. That was kind of our mantra when we were designing this thing.
Yeah.
And um, and so that was the biggest challenge. And like I said earlier, powering that loudness was the challenge. And so, taking a big speaker,
Hmm.
and shoving it in this box and making it waterproof and powering it appropriately, and there's many ways where that can go wrong. And it took a lot of iterations before we felt like, okay, this is exactly how we need it to be, this is going to work, this is going to
Sure.
meet our customer needs. um, uh, but yeah, and loudness to this day is still kind of our drum beat. I mean,
Yeah.
we're working on some other things, and loudness is always
Yeah.
kind of the
I
way that
mean,
we measure, is it good enough, do we want to take it to market or not.
right.
And so
It's a good metric. I mean, the first thing that I did when I opened it up and charged it up, I came back from the gym and I'm like, man, I am pumped to see how loud this thing goes. And I literally, I turned it up in the studio here and I just blared it and I was like, holy crap, this
yeah,
thing is insanely loud. So if you had the pairing feature and had two of them, I
yeah,
mean, it's going to sound like a concert. I mean,
it's amazing.
you're going to
It's
light up Yellowstone National Park and probably scare the bison away. So don't bring it on a hunting trip and blast
That's
it.
right.
But,
That's right.
um,
You're not kidding though. We the stereo pairing feature for
mhm,
us is our favorite part of the turtle box.
yeah,
And you could interview any one of the owners here, and uh, you'd find that we almost exclusively listen to them in stereo.
yeah,
And we believe that uh, the best way to listen to music is in stereo. That
hmm,
you go to a concert. How are you listening to that music? There's a stage in front of you. There
right,
is a left side, a right side, and you are listening to the music. It's immersive. It's not surround sound. That's not the way music is supposed to be listened to. It's
right.
it's it's immersive. It's from the front. It's left and it's right. And so, um, that was a feature that we loved implementing and still love to this day. And our favorite way to do it is we go out into our backyard, spread them out about 20 feet,
Hmm.
about 20 feet away ourselves, kind of create this 20-foot triangle and
Yeah.
just turn it up. And it's like an outdoor concert. I mean, it just fills the air. Um, and it's loud, but it's not like, overpoweringly, like,
Right.
it's not hurting your ears. It's a very wonderful full sound when you get them outside, turn them up all the way. All of us in our families, about 6 families, we went camping last weekend,
Oh, no way. We're about.
a couple days ago, not far from Houston, little state park,
Okay.
Huntsville State Park, beautiful park, just big, beautiful pine trees. And we had like 8 turtle boxes out there because everybody had
Yeah.
their thing, wildly unnecessary, but uh,
BYOT.
yeah, exactly. And man, I mean, they just sounded so good out there. I
Yeah.
mean, just had them paired up in stereo, spread them out a little bit, just kind of filling the pine trees up with sound. It was a lot
That's
of
super
fun.
cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, you mentioned, briefly the challenges, right? And I think
Mhm.
this is a super important thing to touch on because, in any business, big, small, online, retail, whatever, service industry, there's always challenges. Now, was there
Mhm.
ever a moment, a day, or even a time where you were like, "Whew, man, do not know how we're going to get over this hump. Like there's got to be some experience where it's like, man, this is going to be difficult. But in the back of your head, you believe in what you do, and with everyone behind you, and with a little bit of faith, and you're like, all right, well, we're gonna see how this works. So, what was one of those moments that kind of sticks out to you?
Man, instead of like just one moment, I like to give credit to our group in that, you know, uh, there's this phrase, the hardest ship to sail is a partnership.
Yep.
And, Turtle Box took a long time from, that yellow box that I just showed you 7 years ago at our little bachelor pad. It was a long time from that point until we actually launched the product, officially launched it in July of 2018. Took us about 5 years in R&D and fundraising and different stuff to get the company ready, get the product ready, get the business ready, and then launch.
Right.
And we did all of this. We've always done it as a part-time job. It's always been secondary to, our families and our careers. And that, presented unbelievable amounts of challenges.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's nights where we're up at, 2 a.m, dealing with China on stuff, or, having conference calls with each other, or presenting, having to stay up late because we were at work late, and then we got an investor presentation tomorrow, and, stuff like that. It's just always something. And, 5 years of development, and then now we're a little over 2.5 years into sales, and, me and then Jeff, one of the other partners, are now full-time guys.
That's awesome.
Careers, which is just miraculous to us. There were parts of, there were times where we thought that would never happen. What are we doing? This is so hard, right. and the business finally reached this tipping point where, man, this thing, has some real potential, and we need to give it full-time care to see really what we could do with this. I say that story to say that what I just described is about a 7-year period of time.
Right.
And every one of us, all four of us, would sit here and say there were several times where we wanted to wave the white flag. Okay. Where I personally wanted to wave the white flag, or Jeff wanted to wave the flag and say, hey, I'm out, But between the four of us, there was always somebody. Like, there was never at one point in the last 7 years were all four of us like, I'm out.
Right.
At some point, somebody was always carrying the torch, always leading the way, always excited. And you kind of cycled through it. It's like I would get kind of down and, get tired and get a little burnout. And then it'd be like, I'd catch a fresh wind and I'd be like,
right.
Man, Turtle Box, like I'm all in. That'd be when Will is getting tired, and and that just kind of cycled through, and that's an amazing testimony to the value and strength of a good partnership. And in that is what's amazing is I just described that had it not been for my partners, Turtle Box would have died several times. Whereas on the other hand, all four of us will confess that we've also wished several times that, I wish I was the only person making decisions here. I wish I was the executive that, had sole power and I could just do what I wanted to do.
Sure.
Because making decisions with four opinions is incredibly difficult. And that we are all four so different. And that's an amazing strength that we have. And it's also an amazing complexity to us being able to make decisions.
Right.
And we have gotten better and better every year at making decisions and learning how to communicate. And all of us would tell you at times, it's like, oh my goodness, we're going to pull out our hair trying to make decisions. I mean, whether it's picking a color, I mean, some of the simplest things that you're just like, there's no way y'all spent 27 hours on that decision. And I'm like, no, we spent
exactly what it took.
And so I say that to say that we've so matured, because now we can look at you or anybody else and go, as hard as it is to make decisions with my partners, I truly believe, and I say this humbly, that we've never made a bad decision. In that if decision-making power had been left up to me, man, I would have made so many bad decisions already
Mm-hmm.
and probably run this company into the ground. And but since every decision has to be filtered through the minds of 4 different people, and none of us have more power than the other. We're all equal members
Mm-hmm.
and equal voting rights, and there's 4 of us, which makes that even more complicated
Right.
because there's an odd number.
Yep. It's no 2/3 majority here.
Yeah. So uh, but because of that, like there's just such a strength in that we've seen over the last 7 years, and it gets us excited about moving into the future and growing this company, because you can have a great deal of confidence, and I do, that, man, if I pitch an idea and me and my 3 partners say that's a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably a good idea.
Right.
And we need to implement it. We need to implement it fast, and we need to commit to it, and that doesn't happen when you're running a business by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that. I've run businesses by myself, and it's
hard.
It's a very different experience, very
Mm-hmm.
difficult.
Yeah. When you run something by yourself, it's something that it's humbling because you don't have anyone else around you, and people around you can give input and say like, oh, well, this is what I would do, or, why don't you do this? And it's different because you're not in my shoes, right? You're not the one footing the bill. You're not the one putting the time in, and you're not the one waking up at 4 a.m., so
Yeah.
But to have a partnership and to be able to delegate and to really have those, team members, because, I think even as a sole proprietor, right, you have a team, but they're just not as invested in it. It's a different type of investment, right? Maybe it's your family, friends, a mentor, if you will, but to have 4 people that are invested, time wise, monetarily wise, that's something special. And I could certainly, I've never had that experience, but I can see the challenges, but I see way more upside than downside, because like you said, it's this ecosystem that you're pushing ideas through and pushing, struggle and challenges through. And when you guys started as a friendship, rather than, hey, you want to be in a business, I want to be in a business, then let's do it. That's not how it started. Right. It all started back at that house,
Exactly,
around the campfire, being like, let's create this speaker in a box that's indestructible. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a story right there.
I think that's part of the magic of it. I've talked to some other friends of mine that are business owners that, have been in partnerships that just sucked,
Right.
and their opinion on partnerships is very different than mine. And I've got friends that have been sole proprietors and have done very well in that sphere. And so I don't believe that there's any one business structure that leads to success by any means. But I think part of the beauty of our partnership is what you just said, is that our partnership started as a friendship. Like, it started as us doing
Right.
life together, sharing similar values as people. And then out of that grew this business opportunity.
Right.
That's a hard thing to recreate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's something that was thought up, being out on that sailboat, right, in Galveston Bay, and getting towed in by what's that guy's name? Do you still have his number?
You know what? I'm going to look real quick. If I have Cito saved in here, I'm going to die.
You got to give him a ring. Maybe a turtle box.
Billy Kern. I'm not kidding. Look at this.
Look at that.
Can you see?
That's awesome. Cito. Shout out to
Billy Kern.
To Billy Kern.
If you're still towing sailboats in, we need to hang out.
That's too funny.
Yeah, I don't think we ever sailed our boat without calling Billy.
No.
Correct?
It's oftentimes sailboats, right? They need to help in because there's not enough wind, right?
Yeah.
But when you need to help in just because you don't have an engine, that's a whole nother level of boating right there, man.
Oh man.
But I love it. Well, I always like to end off with like because there's always something special, right? And what you guys have is truly special. And I think that's such a cool way to have a business, this partnership, this team, and what sounds more like a family more than anything. All your families are, you said that you have a lot of younger kids and going camping together and doing that thing. That's super cool. I mean, what is the outdoor environment in that truly mean to you? Like, if you could sum it up, what would that what would that sound like? You know, the essence of Turtle Box.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it is family. I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
us, it's community. I mean, what we did at our house when we were bachelors was also family, and I think that that's never changed. We've just enjoyed doing life with other people that share similar values and beliefs, and um, now we're doing it with our actual families, and it's just so special to us that all of our wives are friends and all of our kids are friends. And
Yeah.
we used to go to dinner and it was table for four. Now we go to dinner and it's like table for 24. And
That's so
um,
cool.
um, and so I think if you asked any one of us, like our biggest you know desire for Turtle Box is not that we just make a ton of money. It's
Right.
I'd be lying if I told you I don't want to make a bunch of money.
Sure.
But it's so much more than that because um, we want to teach our kids things.
Mm-hmm.
We want to live in a way that allows us to spend more time with our wives and more intentional time. Where I'm guilty of this every night. You can ask my wife. We kind of had this conversation last night. It's like, where's your head, John? It's like
Right.
I can get so in my head and get distracted running a business, and it's like, man, some of the most important thing has happened to me. Like my wife and my kids,
Right.
and being outside with them. It's like what was actually great about this weekend camping is it wasn't work, and it
Yeah.
wasn't Turtle Box was there, but honestly, like I didn't even care that Turtle Box was there. Like
Yeah.
man, I was outside with my kids and my wife
Mm-hmm.
and camping and living simply. And if there's somehow that I can like help my children more
Mm-hmm.
than anything understand that there's a better way to life
Yeah.
than just running the rat race and doing everything exactly like everybody else does it, is just not a good idea.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so that's what it means to us. I mean, shoot, we want to start a great, we want to grow a great business and do well, financially for our families and our investors and stuff. But
Sure.
it's about that concept of living free
Yep.
and living free with our families and living free with our friends and living free in business. And that's really what Turtle Box is to us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, John, it was such a pleasure being able to have you on the show and to talk more about Turtle Box and your life and, the life of your founders and just a awesome product, but even better story. And I really think that's where brands start with is it's how they get started. It's how they come to be, and what better place to be than in the outdoors, whether you're on a boat, in the ocean, surfing, hiking, backpacking,
Yeah.
what have you. So real pleasure
Absolutely.
having you on the show. But before we go, where can people find you and where can people get their hands on a Turtle Box?
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you, Zach. This has been fun, man. What an honor for us to, be
No, the
featured.
honor's all mine. I appreciate it.
Means a lot to us. But yeah, so, you can find us at turtleboxaudio.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's our website. That's our preferred place of commerce.
Yep.
We are also on Amazon, do a lot of business there. And then I don't have any retailers in your neck of the woods, but
Maybe soon. You never know.
maybe, yeah, you need to point me in the direction of some good
Yeah.
people up in the Northeast, man. But yeah, if you're down in the South and the Gulf Coast, you can get on our website and do a dealer locator, and we got some awesome retailers down here that we love supporting.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, go check us out and check us out on
Cool.
Instagram. We love having people follow along.
Awesome. Well, thank you, John, and appreciate you guys being on.
Zach, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.